Hey everybody, welcome to the Sarah Normal Activity. I'm Sarah.
I'm Nick.
And today we're going to be talking about Bring Her Back. No spoilers, spoiler free to the most part, I think. We're going to be talking about some recommendations, older movies. Bloodlines, I think we're also going to talk about, and a couple of books. We're excited about books. So let's talk about Bring Her Back. So I
went to like a special screening or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I went 2 weeks ago. So it was so fun. We went in Paramus. They had a special screening, and it was like a scary movie. It was like, come see a horror movie for free in Paramus. And so I wasn't sure what it was going to be. So I was like, there are a couple things where I'll be like, it's fine. If it's like, know what you did, less whatever bullshits, that's fine. If it's Bloodlines, it'll be fun. I think Bloodlines was already out at that point though. And so we got there and it was packed, and like the brothers pop up on screen to welcome us, and I was like, fuck yes. I was so happy. I was so happy. And it was the one of the scariest movies I've seen in recent memory, I think. To me, it's something that I can't believe I saw that in the theater. Like there was it just starts with something that I feel like I shouldn't be watching. You know what I mean? Like it starts there. Like so much of that, I think that's kind of like the overarching theme for me, is like so much of it felt like something I shouldn't. I mean, I guess that's what horror is really, but it really felt like it's something that I as a person should not be like seeing. It was so scary. It was so beautifully done. I had to like turn to my fiance a couple times and just be like, it's okay if you step. You want to?
Oh, because he doesn't like stuff like he doesn't really do horror movies, right? And this is not. And this movie is not for the faint of heart. This is not a like. Yeah. I mean, I've watched Scream. Like, sure, I can. Yeah. I've seen a Freddy movie. I'm like, this is it's pretty bleak. It's pretty. There's some scenes in there. There's some scenes in there that are gonna. Yeah.
This is for the diehards. This is for like This is for like the horror people. Yeah. I think I mean I'm gonna try really hard not to have any like spoilers, but for me it's like a lot of horror has like a specific sort of cadence, so it like creates tension, but you always it at some point it like gives you like little breathers and makes you feel safe. And this movie has just none of that. It's just, I mean, there are I don't think you feel safe ever. There's never a moment where you're like, all right, we're all just having burgers at the diner, and like the zombies are asleep. It's like the zombies are awake the whole time. I mean, this whole time, And there was a funny moment. So this isn't a spoiler, but at a certain point, someone in the movie says, "We'll do this, and then you can talk to me." And someone behind me went, "He said the thing."
I didn't even catch that, but that's so great because of Talk to Me. That's great. That's wonderful. I wonder if that was a wink and a nod, or if it was just literally we wrote this into the script. I don't know.
I don't have tons, and I'm not going to go too deep into it. Obviously, we could talk more about like performances and stuff, but just the fact that it was also like supernatural and psychological horror. I hope that's not a spoiler, but like supernatural and psychological horror, so like perfectly woven together, and like they would take the back seat to each other or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was gorgeous, and the performances were incredible. Let's go to you. I think you word things better than I do.
No. You say great. That was wonderful. That was amazing. And I'm glad. I was gonna say I was jealous because I remember you sent me the thing, because I think AMC was doing the like, hey, sign up for this Monday thing or whatever day it was, and see this movie at this time, and you don't know what it is. And I remember I was like, oh, that looks great. They are doing it around me, but I don't think I can go. And funny enough, I had this one thing after that was kind of conflicted, but then that left. But I had already had tickets to go see Bloodlines, Final Destination Bloodlines. So I'm going to go see that, which is great. We'll talk about that later. But I was like, fuck, I wish I would have done the thing, because that would have been really cool to see the two brothers and then like the whole surprise. So I was jealous about that. But I saw it just fresh in my mind. I saw it just this last Friday. I absolutely loved it. It's fantastic. It's so well shot. It's well acted. We can get into it more, like, Sally Hawkins is incredible. Um, I agree. There's always a sense of dread throughout the film, and even when there's those sweet moments between certain characters, or just moments that you're like, oh, I like these people. There's still just like an overarching just dread of stuff that
Mm-hmm.
and I think the movie did a really good job of like giving you enough information as it goes on, and then it gives you more and more and more, and it moves in a way that you're like everything you're getting satisfied. You're like, oh, what's that? What's that? Okay, okay, well, what's that? Okay, and then they're giving you, and then when you start to explain what's kind of going on, I think it's one of those things where they give you enough information, but they don't overly explain anything. It's just here's
Mm-hmm.
this thing, and what it culminates to is insane, and it's just great, and I don't think there's a spoiler. Just saying it's gory, very gory at times.
Mm.
There was one scene I went to go see with Jake, who we know, who was a guest on it, and he was like making fun of me before because we told that story about when we went to go see Where Evil Lurks. He's like, "Hey, no weird laughing, no weird laugh," because he was like, "Hey, I read reports about this, how it's like it's so it's so it made me sick and da 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 and all this." So he's like, "No awkward laughs in the film, like with When Evil Lurks." But there was a scene, and I think you'll know what scene I'm talking about when I turned to him and I went yum yum, and he started laughing. He started laughing, and he looks at me and goes, "We're having a good time, but seriously, after this, you're gonna need to go get some help." And I was like, um, but I was there. The audience was just like reacting, and I was like, "This is gnarly." And one thing I wanted to say real quick that tap on that I appreciate you said it, and I've been wanting to put this into words, and it helped me was there's a lot of horror movie, well, a really good horror movie ever even since the 80s, even some of the cheesy ones like you talk about like Romero did with the zombie movies and everything. A lot of good horror movies are not just here's horror and gore and monster, it's representing something that's happening in the world, or like Night of the Living Dead, like Dawn of the Dead is about capitalism, and Day of the Dead is about militant rule, and Land of the Dead is about class systems, and then there's Jordan Peele deals with all these different stuff, and there's often these films about grief and all this stuff, and I've seen some of them. Like there was one called Relic with Emily Mortimer, and I was like, and I know some people liked it. I kind of was like, it was okay. It kind of dragged. And I know it's about like it's kind of about having somebody with dementia, but it manifests into this like monster. And then there was this movie I saw called Daddy's Head that was about grief, about losing a father, and I thought it was okay. I was like, okay. I think this movie did a really good job about tackling grief in so many different forms and the psychological thing of it, but they mixed in this horror, paranormal. I think you said
Mm-hmm.
like like this entity with this thing into it, and I think this is one that really like it kept me interested, it kept me involved. I cared about all the characters. When it got crazy, but it felt earned.
Mm-hmm.
And Yeah, I think I haven't seen Talk to Me in a little while. I kind of want I want to I definitely want to rewatch it with my hand. But I want to rewatch it because I kind of feel like I liked this one a little bit better. Like I'm a little bit more on this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I love Talk to Me. This I think though is gonna be like a movie of the year ish. I was also thinking like, what what piece of merch is Nick gonna get to smoke out of from this movie?
I was already starting to look. I was like, after I saw the movie, I was like, what do they got? I looked at Jake and I was like, can you imagine the popcorn bucket for this one? Just like
It's just like like a broken side mirror.
yeah, yeah. There's so many different things. There's just that kid's head. Um,
I know. Oh God, I have other things that I could say, but I'm not gonna. I don't.
yeah, I know we can't. I know there's like certain things I could specify, but I was like, no. And Jake was telling me that apparently when they were writing Talk to Me, they were also writing this one. They were kind of like working on them simultaneously or something like that.
I haven't. So I have to kind of. I haven't been able to find like anything definitive on it, but I'm seeing like headlines or whatever saying that they take place in the same universe.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, I think I did hear that a while ago, that it does take place in the same universe, which I love that they're creating this weird
Mm-hmm.
this and it kind of makes sense with because like the hand in the first one, like what I wonder if they're going to explain because they didn't really fully say where that comes from, and then there's this whole plot thingy that they kind of show you, but you're like, what is that about? So I love if they just kept expanding on that until they just created this universe of like what that is, like where
Yeah.
that all originates from. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was the one thing that I felt was missing. Not missing in that it took away from it, but missing as in I wanted to know like
Yeah.
origin stories of things.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and I also read they're writing they are writing two more Talk to Me's that are like not prequels or sequels, but like
Oh,
equals. They're
just
like
another. Yeah, because I had heard they were doing at least the second one, but I guess they're doing a third one too.
yeah, I guess they're writing.
But
Yeah, they're writing two more. Who knows if they're gonna make both? But like
yeah,
they're writing
but
two.
they're not. So they're not direct sequels. They're just kind of like in the universe of
The expanded universe.
yeah, the expanded universe. Yeah, Sally Hawkins was incredible. Sally Hawkins was incredible.
Terrifying and like the and it's one of those, it's such a hard. I mean, again, I'm trying not to spoil her, but like, uh, just I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to just say like like the gaslighting.
The gaslighting. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
See what that is, and it's like it's like behavior that when you describe it doesn't sound like anything, but when you experience it is like horrifying. Yeah.
hmm
And she did an amazing job with that. Uh
And it was so funny to think of her as Paddington's mom. She's Miss Brown. I looked at Jake and I was like, "That's Miss Brown," and he was like, "That's." And she was in the third one, and I even thought I was like, how funny if somebody did some kind of a mashup where it's what she's doing to the characters, but she does it like they mash it up so it looks like she's doing it to Paddington. Like if somebody just took Paddington, one of the two Paddingtons that and then just took scenes from this and just mashed it together to make it look like she's did that to him. I thought that'd be hilarious.
that's why he's wearing the raincoat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's for those
In the movie, you'll get it.
Yeah, it's inside jokes.
Yeah. Final Destination Bloodlines. You haven't seen it.
No.
No. Okay. And I will say quickly, first one's fantastic because it's the original. It started all. Love the second one. Great sequel. Super fun. Got that log car scene. That's crazy. Third one's fun. Third one is very fun. It's a fun cast. And if you have the DVD like I do, because I got it when it first came out, and the reason why I bought it is because on the DVD feature, they had a choose your own adventure. So you could change if people live or die or how they died. And it was like a whole thing. So I bought the DVD and I still have it because I was like, what? I want to.
Are you
such a
able
great
to?
idea.
Are you still able to view it in any way? Do you?
Yeah, I have a PS4 that'll play it. Yeah. Yeah. You have one of those DVDs?
What do you got?
What do you got? What do you got to play? Yeah, let me make a phone call about this. No, and then there's the fourth one, which is not my favorite, and I think a lot of people. It was called Final Destination because it was going to be the last one or the Final Destination. It's okay. It's fine. I think it's the lowest on the totem pole.
Mhm.
And then there was the fifth one, which is really fun, and they did a great job. And then it has that great twist ending. I don't know if you remember. I won't give it too much away, but it's got a great.
Cool.
It'll circle back. But this one was a lot of fun. It was really good. It was a really fun concept and twist on. I don't think I'm giving anything away. It's just the idea of like, what if the death thing isn't? It's not so much following just like a group because of one person saves them, but like bloodlines of people. Like it's like, oh, I have to not just kill this group of people, but now I have to go after their fam. Like, you imagine the original ones of like, oh, we've killed this people, I've done what I did, but maybe because they've got saved, I have to go after any. So that was a great concept, and it's super fun. There's a really fun character. It's like really funny. Like I love that it kept that just like in the other ones. But I really think it amped up the comedy in a good way that worked with it. And yeah, it's just a really cool story. It's really interesting. The kills are great. There's one character that everybody loved that I think if you see it, you'll know who it is, and just how they work things in, and the guy's even blowing up, and it was great because it was Tony. I don't know if this is officially Tony Todd's final performance,
Yeah.
but it was like one of his last because I thought something else before was his last thing, but then they were able to get him in for this one, and I read this thing. Because the way they kind of explain his character, they kind of wrap up his character from all the other ones, and he kind of says this final little monologue thing,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently they were like, say whatever you want, because he knew he was dying, and so he just like his lines hit so much harder because it was like an honest thing, and I'm really sweet that they let him do that, and it's a very interesting thing. And I saw this picture where it was like his first lines and his last lines, and it's really like interesting and cool, and so I'm glad they were able to get him in, and he's magnificent as always, still killing it. I don't mean it like that, but you know what I mean. He's just great. He's amazing. And so I was happy to see him in that capacity. And yeah, it's fun. The kills are fun. It's great. Highly recommend it. I think it'll be delight. Yeah, glad they're still making them. I love that franchise.
Is it now? Is this now just going to relaunch it? So that now it's going to be like.
I don't know. I mean, because I remember when they did the Final Destination, they were kind of like, "This is going to wrap it up," and they were like, "No, we got one more." And then it went a while, and they were like, "Now we're going to do this one." And I believe it's doing well. The rating, I mean, the critics liked it.
Yeah.
I think it's doing well for what they anticipated. I can't remember. But I feel like they're just gonna keep making these. They're gonna find a reason to. It's just gonna be one of those ones like.
It feels like they had to kind of step away from the convention for this one, and so I think it's like once you do that, now you can just sort of take anything and be like, this is like a Final Destination thing where it's like now there's like doubles of everyone or whatever. It was like you could just come up with anything and slide it in. You know, once you break the convention, you can kind of.
That's the thing is I like that they did that because now they can really start to explore. I think that's what you have to do now. Is like because if it's just like we've got another one, but this time everybody dies on this crazy thing, and then this is how they. But that's why I liked like it was like okay, we got to come up with something fresh. So I hope they keep doing that. Yeah.
Awesome. There are two movies that I saw that are like I want to recommend.
Mm-hmm.
For very, very specific moods, right?
Okay.
So I saw on Tubi, I watched something called Come True, which is it's a Canadian horror movie about like a young woman who can't sleep and she does like a sleep study, and so have you heard it?
Wait, because when you said Come True, and I was like, that's not the movie that I've seen, right? Yeah, she does a sleep study and it has that crazy ending.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I saw it a long time ago when it first came out.
Yes, it's from 2020.
No, and I remember it's one of those movies that. Oh, I'm so glad that you saw this and we can talk about it because I saw it and I was like, this was awesome, and I liked it. And I didn't have anybody because nobody else had really heard about it, and I was like, no, I don't know who to talk to about this, and it was around 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and so and right now when you said it, I was like, wait, because the name always confused me, and whenever I try to think about it and look it up again, I was like, True Story. I was like, that's not it.
Yeah.
And I was like, come along, and I was like, but it's Come True. Okay, yes, sorry, continue talking. Love the film.
Yeah. No, and I don't want to say too much about it, but it is, it just has that. It's like got like a Stranger Things feel to it. Electric Youth made music for it, so it's got like that vapor
soundtrack
kind of thing. And the lead actor looks like Emma Chamberlain. If that means anything to anybody who watches a lot of YouTube. But it just has that. It has like a very like analog like feel to it, you know. And the performances are pretty good, and it's just got like it's just very analogy. It's all the things that I like, and it has like just Stranger Thingsy, vaporwavy things. The very, very, very end, I'm like, maybe not. But everything leading up to that, I think, is ace.
Oh, really? Okay. I liked it. I was a little bit like I was like a little bit on the fence too, but I was like, no, I like that. I get what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I know I don't want to give it away, but it is, and it could be seen as like a cop out, but I don't know. I kind of liked it, but it's yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I see kind of what was happening, but it was also just like we were talking about before, was like when you invest really a lot in something and then it's
yeah, exactly.
Entirely, it's like, oh wait. But I will say I recommend it. That's on Tubi, so it's free as a bird and really great. I was really like, it's one of those rare things I just pop on to see what's going on, and I was like teaching myself to knit, and I sort of put everything aside to just sort of focus on it, which I rarely do, which was good. And then in the same sort of like feeling, the like mid-aughts Tumblr sort of, that is sort of like vapor, you know what I mean? I keep saying vaporwave, but like analog, that kind of feeling. What I saw, We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Oh, how was that? I want to see that one. Yeah.
I really was like, it endeared me a lot.
Okay.
It's I would not say, I wouldn't necessarily call it like a horror movie. It was it was a drama. It was the performances were excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And there are moments of like tension, but it's, I don't know, it's really hard to describe. The
Because that's the same person who did. I watched the TV Glow, right? I'm not
I saw
crazy.
the TV, yeah.
I saw the TV Glow, which I loved that. I
Yeah.
loved. I saw the TV Glow. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very, so I'll just give you a little bit of what it's about, because this isn't a spoiler, but it's like about a young girl, and there's like, it's very lonely core. It's got like, it's a very solo thing, and there's like a this game online where you do it's almost like the elevator game thing, some sort of like thing that you do. It's steps you do, and it says we're all going to the World's Fair, and it changes you, and so people kind of document how they become like a monster, sort of. And I think that's kind of, that doesn't kind of, I feel like that's what it's about, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like then watching like how it affects people, and how people interact and things like that. So yeah, there are some scary parts, and but it's just really about like, it's really about loneliness, I think, and about connecting, and um about like sadness. It was really cool. And yeah, yeah, I recommend it. I think that people should watch it. It's yeah,
I
I don't know,
want to check it. I really want to check it out because
on
I
Max.
remember it's on Max, right?
Hmm.
Because I remember when it came out, I heard a lot of good things about it. And then same director did I saw the TV Glow, and I went to go see that immediately, and I loved that. That movie is incredible,
Hmm.
and I've been meaning to go back and watch. We're all going to
We're all going to the World's Fair.
the World's Fair, yeah. And it looked trippy, and it was always on these lists of like, just check it out. It's really interesting. It's different. It's yeah, and I love that style. Like you kind of what we were calling it, like vaporwave.
Yeah, just like vaporwave. It just has that like Tumblr. Like, I wish there was like a word to sort of describe it, but it's like that.
I love all those hues. Like I saw the TV Glow really had it with those like I mean, you can see the light right now, like the purples and the glows and the like, and even like come true, like just the
Yeah.
way the dark, but then you see like that blue or that green or that purple, and then it's got kind of, well, it's very like Dario Argento in a way, like Giallo, but it's used in a completely different setting, and then it's got that like synth, like 80s kind of, yeah. It's just, I don't know. I love that whole
It kind of
aesthetic.
makes you feel like you're inside of the monitor a little bit when it
Yeah.
gives you those colors and things. Yeah, so I highly recommend it, and I think it's the lead actor's first thing. And there's another sort of main character who is played by I think his name's Michael Rogers, who starred in Beyond the Black Rainbow. Did you ever see that?
Um, no, wait, no. But those were who did that one? Who did Beyond the Black Rainbow?
Panos Cosmatos.
Yeah, it is. It is the same guy from Mandy. Okay, that's the thing. Because I remember people were being like, you got to check that one out, which I haven't seen it yet. Okay, so
Yeah,
we're
it's
back.
that's a weird one.
Because I haven't seen that one, but I saw Mandy, and
Yeah.
that was, yeah, Ponto's. I can
They're
never say
very
his name.
different. I love Beyond the Black Rainbow. I loved it. It
Mm.
is not for everybody. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, I heard it's crazy. I mean, if you watch Mandy,
yeah,
I've had so many people come and be like, I remember my two friends out there like, you're gonna love it, and I really did like it. But like I've had people be like, the fuck did I just watch? And I was like, yeah, it's kind of, everybody's got their things.
mhm.
Um, but wait, so what? Sorry, how does it tie in with it?
So so the main character in
Oh,
Beyond the
yes,
Black
yeah,
Rainbow is in this, and
yes, gotcha.
he plays a role, but I won't give away what he plays. But
I'm gonna watch that this week. I'm definitely gonna check it out this week. Yeah,
yeah, it's like that 80, it gives you a nice 80s, give you a nice 80s week.
I love that 80s week. Yeah.
Yeah, those are my two recommendations for the week.
Well, can I jump to real quick just to use the segment on Ponto's? How do you say his name again?
Panos Cosmatos.
Cosmatos. Panos Cosmatos. Panos Cosmatos. I'm very excited. I just want to talk about how excited I am about his next movie, Flesh of the Gods, or Flesh for the Gods.
Yeah.
Flesh of the Gods, And I was like, I remember when I heard about it, and I was like, I loved Mandy. I love what this guy. I want to check out Beyond the Black Rainbow. And I heard he's doing this '80s vampire flick, which I was like, that's everything I love. And
Mm.
then they announced the cast of like first Oscar Isaacs and Kristen Stewart. And then they were like, "Oh, Elizabeth Olsen's gonna be in it," and I was like, "Cool, cool. This is a fantastic. This is the best cast." And then it was like, "Oh, it's this couple in the '80s, and they go like out, and I think they like go to punk rock scenes, and then they meet the nameless one, and her cabal of these party people, but she's like a vampire, and she lures them in." And in my mind, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be Oscar Isaacs and Elizabeth Olsen are the couple, and
Yeah.
Kristen Stewart is the vampire leader." But it's Oscar Isaacs and Kristen Stewart as the couple and Elizabeth Olsen as the vampire, like the vampiress. And I was like, I can't. Because I think that's just so much more. I can't wait to see Elizabeth Olsen as like this vampiress. And then Kristen Stewart and Oscar Isaacs are going to be incredible.
Yeah.
I'm just, everything about that film. A friend of mine sent me when it was all popping up. I think you posted about it. And
Mhm.
she just sent me a thing and she said, "This is so you coded." And I
Yeah.
was like, it has
I'll
now
look
become
for
my
that.
most anticipated film of
I love that
the
so much.
next year. Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's coming out next year.
I believe next year. Yeah, I think they just are finalizing. Yeah, because they just brought on Elizabeth Olsen, or they finalized it, so they're probably going to start filming soon.
Awesome. Awesome.
I'm very excited. Yes.
Oh, and the only other movie I watched was Until Dawn.
Oh, how was that?
You know what? It was a good time.
That's what I figured. I almost saw it in the theaters because I have AMC A list, and then
Yeah.
everything I was like, oh, I have to actually do this or that, and then it's on stuff now. It's streaming and everything, and I want to check it out. It looks like it's just fun. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, and then there's one other one, and I'll just say these two things briefly because they both had. So it's like I also watched Azazel.
Oh, what did you think?
Um, I liked it. It was a little too like brutal for me, but I mean I thought it was well done. But it was a little simple for me, and
Yeah, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't. I was kind of like, okay.
but for me that had the cadence of a video game.
Azazel. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was just like
Oh, yeah.
action scene, running, cutscene, action scene, and it was like very obvious, just like fights, and it was just like it really just felt like you're watching a video game, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. I think it's worth watching if that's the kind of thing you're into. But that yeah, and then Until Dawn was like I think that's like that is a fun one if you're not like a crazy horror person and you want to like watch something with or like I think that it's you know there's some kills for sure, but it's also just it has a pretty interesting concept because I never played the game,
I was
so
gonna ask, have you played the game? Okay, yeah.
I did we set it up and then I never got around to it, but it has a very like the conceit is very interesting. So
Well, I saw like how it works because in one of the trailers they basically spell it out for you. And I
uh,
played the game, and I was like, no, it's fine. I thought it was no. I think that's smart because it's like here's the concept. I mean, basic concept. Maybe there's more to it in the film, but they give you a basic concept. But also, I but I thought, oh, that's a good way to bring in the game because you can't necessarily because all about the game is you making choices. Is you like, can you hit this button fast enough, or who do you save, or how do you interact with this person? And it's those Telltale games that makes you like, this changes and everything. So I thought it was an interesting idea of how you bring this game into the movie form. So yeah,
mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I gotta check that out. So I gotta see. We're all going to the World's Fair. I gotta check out Until Dawn for fun. Azazel, I saw. Like I said, that was okay.
It was definitely a horror movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely a horror movie. It's an interesting concept. I have some issues with it. We don't need to really go into it, but yeah, check it out. If you look it up and if it sounds interesting, you definitely check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and the end is very unpredictable.
Hmm. I saw this. I don't think it was really a horror. I saw it on the plane. Did you hear about that movie Rumors?
Uh-uh.
It's the one with Kate Blanchett. It's about like the G6 summit,
Hmm.
and it's like the leaders like like Germany and France and Japan and the UK and Italy and America, and it's how they all go to this area to go to the G6 summit, and it's fucking crazy. It kind of gets horror. It's kind of horror, but it's very political satire.
Mhm.
And it's this Canadian director. I forgot his name, but I looked it up afterwards because I saw it on the plane, And then on my layover, I looked up everything, and everybody was just like, "Yeah, this guy's real weird. This director's it was three directors, but one of the directors is like this guy who's been around forever, and he just does weird stuff, and it's very unique, and he plays with how he shoots stuff and his thing." I found it really weird. I picked up on a lot of the satire of like the representation of all the countries and what's going on in the world and what
Mhm.
these zombies meant and this giant brain thing and this then da da da. Um, it was kind of weird. I don't know if you like horror but with mostly political satire, check it out. It's got
Zombies,
really funny moments.
zombies in a giant brain.
Yeah, it's kind of it's weird. They don't explain most stuff. You just kind of have to pick up on what they're laying down. But yeah, to me, it was not a good plane movie. It was not a good plane movie because a plane movie you want something that you can just like it's like popcorn and candy and it kind of makes you forget you're on a plane. That
Mhm.
movie kept reminding me that I was on a plane. So I think if I would have seen it in another context, I would have a little bit more in jiving with it, but that I was like, so yeah. But it kind of had some horror moments. But that was the one I was going to talk about. It's weird. It's really weird.
Great.
Yeah.
For books,
Books.
I want to talk about one book that I read. I went to a little trip this weekend with some girlfriends, and I was sat by a lake, which was really nice. And I read a book in essentially one sitting. I read Last House on Needless Street.
Oh, I've heard about this one.
It
Yeah.
was terrifying. It was so gripping, and like I could not put it down. I could not stop reading it. Um, yeah, it is. I'll try to describe it, and I won't go too deep into it. But
Hmm.
it's about like a young girl who goes missing, and then this is like years later, and her sister's trying to like find her. She feels like people have not like really gone far enough and like find gone down roads to find her more. And then at the same time, we sort of meet this man who was suspected of being the person who like kidnapped her.
Hmm.
And we kind of go inside his life, and it is very it is wild, and you just learn the story from, and it cuts to different perspectives, and one of the perspectives that you see the story through is his cat, who they write. There's just these entire chapters that come from like the cat telling her story, and it's adorable and so good. But also like it is eh, like fucking brutal, but really really good, and really interesting. And I don't I don't want to say too much about it, but like it's if you like, it's not true crime, it's like but it has like that the crime
Hmm.
element to it. So if you like that, it's very good for that. And it was the kind of it's the exact kind of thing I like, which is like it asks a lot of like kind of wild questions, and then like I know it's going to be answered soon, so I just
Hmm.
couldn't stop. I'm like I have to find out what this means or what the connection is, and it's like yeah, I'm not this is not book talk. I don't know exactly how to like talk about books, but it was really, and the writing is really beautiful and heartbreaking. And um and it has like the feeling of supernatural horror, but it's not. It's mostly like psychological thrillery
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah, it's beautiful. Check it out. And then I like went to bed in like a cabin, like like directly looking outside to like
Yeah.
nothingness, where I'm like,
Oh,
I'm impossible to find. That's fine.
no. See, I love that. I've always, to me, like whenever I've gone to cabins with friends, I'm always like, let's watch a really scary movie. Let's like scare ourselves. And everybody's like, no, what's wrong with you? I was like, come on, like let's. But no, that's my thing. I love that. And then you go to bed and you're like, anything could happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard a lot about that book. It's been on a lot of like book talk stuff. It's been a lot of like these are recommendations. So it's one that I've always like heard a lot of great stuff about. And now that I'm remembering, one of the things that people will be like, if you want a few chapters from the perspective of a cat, it's got that, and like that's a big selling point to it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's such a weird thing to want, but yeah, I love
of
that part.
course. They made a whole video game about where you just play a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
was your book?
Oh, so mine. This was one that I had heard about, and then I found at the Shakespeare bookstore, the Shakespeare bookstore, a little while, and I finally read it through. It's really easy read. It's short. It's called Through the Night Like a Snake. Latin American horror stories. And it's like a bunch of different authors, Latin American authors, and they translate my brain. Uh, I'm still on a different time zone. Translate all of them, and they're all these short stories, and they're very cool. They're very interesting. I am myself Latino, so like I was very interested in it. And they're some of them are really weird, and like they're some are short, some are long. I think the whole thing is like 219 pages. So I read through it, but it's just a really fun, interesting book, and like I love those anthology horror books. And it's just kind of like a crazy like adult scary stories to tell at night, but also through the perspective of Latino Americans. And it was super cool. There's some really interesting things, really wild ideas, and a lot of it is very just kind of like vague stuff and ideas, and yeah, it's not just outright like here's a vampire story, here's a zombies. It's more just messing with your head, kind of. Also, like you can tell it's a perspective of these authors who have dealt with things that are going on in their countries and stuff like that. So it's very good. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I love it. I love horror short stories a lot. Great.
And I just picked up Joe Abercrombie's The Devils, which I'm very excited to read. I've never read a Joe Abercrombie. A lot of people recommended them, and then this book just came out. And the concept, it's like a horror fantasy, because it's this priest, and he like there's monsters exist, and it's kind of medieval times, and like and he's usually part of this church, and I'm paraphrasing this terribly, but because I'm trying not to know too much about it, because I just like what I read, I was like, here, I'm in. But it's this priest, and he's like, he gets called to an assignment, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go on this another this special mission, and it's gonna be great. I'm gonna go with these great heroes, and they're like, you are gonna go on a mission, but you're not gonna go with heroes. You're gonna go with these monsters, and like it's all these different people, and like one's a straight up werewolf, one's like this evil person, one's this bad. It's just like the villains, and they're like they're like, in order to do this mission, you need to take them, and you need to wrangle them. You need to keep them in line. And it's just like all this stuff, and I was like, I'm so on board for this. Yeah.
Cool. And that's called The Devils?
The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I just finished this one I told you about yesterday, so I'm gonna start this one today.
Very cool. I have a Junji Ito book that I'm supposed to have
Which
read.
one?
Oh, I got it as a gift. So I'll.
Is it Gaio? Is it Uzumaki? Is it Tomi? Or is it a short story, Shivers?
I think it's short stories.
So it might be Shivers or Smashed or one of the other ones. Oh, I think you showed me. It might be one of his new ones. Sorry, I love Junji Ito. His stuff's great.
Yeah, it's gonna be my first, so I'm excited.
Oh yeah, no, his short stories are good ones to start with. I'd recommend. I think Shivers is the short stories I really like, and Uzumaki is a great one. Was it on Max? Max did a little short. They made it into an animated series of Uzumaki. They made it on there. And I think it's only like 5 or 6 episodes. And I recommend that. And then Netflix has Junji Ito's like short stories, and they just pick some of his short stories from all of his different little short story books, and they just animated them. The Uzumaki on HBO Max was really good. The short stories on Netflix was good. It's just some of the stories they picked, I was like, they're kind of stronger ones. They're little, like, some of them are great. Some of them I was like, this one's okay. But hopefully they do more. But yeah, I love Junji Ito.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, enjoy. Tell me. I can't wait to hear what you think.
Will do. Well, I think that's it for us this week. Yeah. Thanks so much to everybody for listening. If you listen this far, leave a pine tree in the comments. Leave us a like and a subscribe. Mm-hmm. If I get this out before Saturday, come to the pit and check me out at 7:30 in the Baldwins.
Yeah, definitely go do that.
You have any shows coming up?
What are we doing? I can't remember the details right now, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
I don't want to have to look up and be like, yeah, so it's all right. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.